So the offender's toolkit, what's in the offender's toolkit? I've just discussed a little bit of this with you now, but we feel this is vital. It is vital that you understand what is in that offender's toolkit. Because only when you know that, you can create an environment where people are reluctant to offend. You're never going to stamp out child sex abuse, but you can create an environment where perpetrators are reluctant to offend. So this is the perpetration scale that we're going to be working with today. This is quite a poor example, really. So this will be an interactive task that you'll all be doing. You'll be given a case study. And the whole point of this is so you can see the scale of the crime. So this is just a 40-year example. It could be 40 months, it could be 40 weeks, whatever. So for this one, what are we looking at? So for argument's sake, a teacher started work in a comprehensive school, and within 2 years, he got into porn. So he had this exposure to the sexual content. Over time, 10 years later, offending began. Okay? It wasn't until then, another 20 years later, that a disclosure was made. And then 8 years later, there was justice, because not all the disclosure doesn't always work the first time. So we, as safeguarders, level 2, level 3, level 1, we usually start safeguarding at this point here. Okay? This awareness training is going to show you how to visualize the steps leading up and the steps before. And only when you understand the magnitude of this crime that we can intervene, we can prevent when we understand processes. So I hope that will become a bit more clear at you later on. It's a visual aid. It's a visual aid. This is how I try to think, how can I get people to see what's in my head? So that's why I created this scale, so you can actually map it going along. So you have case studies later, and you can map that to give you an idea. But like I said, we are safeguarders, level 1, 2, and 3. We usually start safeguarding here. Here's where the policies kick in, okay? And that's not good enough. So who, what, where, why, this is important. I do this to absolutely everything I come across because I used to think I know it all, like most of us do. So as a teenager, I always think you know it all. I used to have different views on child sex abuse as well. I thought certain programs would work until I got educated and I understood actually that's not quite right. So safeguarding should be black and white. It should be, okay? If we're in the grey areas, there has to be a red flag. It has to be a red flag. Now, I usually say if we've got a grey area and a red flag, you scrap it, okay? But it doesn't always work like that. What we've been doing with these grey areas and these red flags, we've been able to speak with teachers, we've been able to have discussions and meetings, and then later on, lesson content has been removed. There's a little bit of safeguarding there. We were able to safeguard an entire year group. So that's why we do the who, what, where, why. Where we see the grey areas, that is a red flag. And that's where you can ask questions then. You know, you can ask questions, open the dialect, and very often, you're dealing with decent people very often, okay? They want to look after children. It's the policies that's failing out children, other people. So very often people will listen, and if you can have these conversations, you will 9 times out of 10 get a decent result.